What's up, guys? It's your boy Swills here, and today I've got some huge news that I normally would not be addressing too much, but this is huge news for all of sports. One of the biggest basketball superstars, James Harden, is being traded to the Brooklyn Nets. This is massive news. I don't really do basketball that much. I don't really watch basketball too much anymore, I'll be honest with you, but I still keep up with it from time to time, and there's not a better time than right now. I've got a post-it note here full of the trade details, and I'm going to be going through it, and then at the end, I'll talk a little bit about my thoughts and how I think it'll work out for every team. So let's get through the meat and the potatoes of the trade. So the Nets have acquired James Harden from the Houston Rockets. From Brooklyn, Houston gets 4 first-round picks. 3 of them belong to the Brooklyn Nets, which is a 2022, a 2024, and a 2026 first-round pick straight from Brooklyn. There's also a 2022 Milwaukee first-round pick that Brooklyn has that is also being traded. So that's 4 first-round picks. On top of that, they will be getting 4 pick swaps from the Brooklyn Nets, which is 2021, 2023, 2025, and 2027. I'm looking at my TV over here just to see if anything gets updated. So that's 8 picks, basically, or 4 picks and then 4 swaps, okay? They also got Rodion Kurucs, Dante Exum, and Victor Oladipo. Let's see how those 3 players got traded. Well, the Pacers had Victor Oladipo. The Nets traded Caris LeVert to Houston. Houston has now traded Caris LeVert for Victor Oladipo from the Indiana Pacers. So that is how the Houston Rockets have ended up with Victor Oladipo, who is a pending free agent. Keep that in mind. If he was under long-term contract, chances are that move doesn't happen. So Pacers then have Caris LeVert and a second-round pick in this trade. And then the Cavaliers have acquired Jarrett Allen, center from the Nets, and also they have acquired Taurean Prince as well, the small forward. Mind-blowing trade. Blockbuster trade. The Nets, this is going to be huge news for them. They have Kevin Durant. They have Kyrie Irving, who we don't know really what he's doing, if he's going to play every game or what. He's been out for a while with some personal problems. And now they have James Harden. That could be one of the best big threes we've ever seen. Issue, of course, they all have pretty high usage rates. We'll see how they figure that out. So let's talk about the Nets real quick. Let's talk about what this means for them. So they've got them 3. They've kept some good pieces off the bench. They still have DeAndre Jordan. They still have Joe Harris. Spencer Dinwiddie, of course, out with an injury. Perhaps a good thing, though, for the Nets. If he hadn't been out with a season-ending injury, perhaps he would have been involved in this trade. Obviously, losing Caris LeVert is a big deal. He's kind of like their six-man type player who provides valuable points. So that could be a loss for the Nets, but at the same time, you're upgrading to James Harden. The picks obviously is a big deal for the Nets, but if they intend to be contenders, these will be late-round picks for a while. And a lot of people will think that this reeks a bit of the Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen trade that involved a bunch of picks back in the early 2010s. I think it was like 2012 or 2011 maybe, where the Nets traded for all these players, these Celtics legends, and then just completely fell off the edge of a cliff, and all their picks got sent to the Celtics, who have then built up a great franchise of players. No championship for them, but a great franchise of players nonetheless. People say it reeks of this. There's a difference. These are 3 superstars. Kevin Durant is a superstar, one of the best in the league. Kyrie Irving is a superstar, one of the best in the league. And James Harden, if he returns to his to his last season form and years before that, it's one of the best trios we've ever seen. There's no question about it. There's a difference. This team should not be worried about missing the playoffs, let alone perhaps. This should be a team that should be competing for the NBA Finals every year. There's no question about it, especially with James Harden. So for the next 4 years, they shouldn't have to really worry about those picks being really high picks and it being a backfire of a trade. I hope not. I really do. I think Sean Marks has done a great job as the Nets GM. I expect this to work out in their favor. So for the Nets, I think it's an okay trade. You're kind of putting the chips on the table. You're sacrificing your future for your present. So that's the issue. And when we look at teams like the Thunder, who have gotten a bunch of picks from the Clippers and now have had the opportunity to build up their franchise with a new foundation, and the Clippers are kind of they're not that great. We'll see if the Nets make it worth wagering their entire future essentially for young players. For these 3 guys, to win that title. Now for Houston, I think this is a good trade. Obviously, he wanted out. This is a great haul in return for him. You're getting 4 firsts and 4 swaps. You're gonna so essentially for the next 8 years, you're going to have 2 first-round picks for 4 of those years, and then for the other 4, you're gonna have the higher of the 2 picks, which we'll see what happens. But I mean, you're gonna have a good young foundation to build on with John Wall, who looks he's we'll see how he gets on, but reestablish your team. Essentially, you're in a rebuild now. There's no question about it. The Rockets are in a bit of a rebuild now, especially with a loaded Western Conference like they have. You've got Victor Oladipo, who is a free agent at the end of the year. I mean, you would assume if they're going to make this trade, he's probably going to re-sign with the Rockets. I don't see why they would trade for him if he's not going to re-sign. So that's very good as well. You have him and John Wall to build off of. That's a good point guard, shooting guard trio. And then a couple key pieces off the bench. Or not key pieces off the bench. A couple pieces off the bench. The Pacers, Karis LeVert for Victor Oladipo straight up is a great deal. That's a great deal. And you got a second-round pick as well. That's fantastic because Karis LeVert will go right into the starting lineup more than likely. And the Pacers will stay competitive, and they don't have to worry about a pending free agent big deal like Victor Oladipo, who perhaps would have went somewhere else anyways. So for the Pacers, it's a great deal. And then the Cavs get Jared Allen, who has been a very underrated center off of the bench, sometimes starting for the Nets, and Taurean Prince as well. So very big trade, and ESPN has gone to NFL Live. I don't understand that. It's the biggest deal in NBA in many years, and this is what you're doing. You're showing me about Jalen Ramsey. Who cares? This is big, big, big news. But let me know what you think about the trade in the comment section down below. It's a big risk, high reward for the Nets, for the Rockets. We'll see how they rebuild, but thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this content. Hopefully, maybe I'll bring more NBA content. Who knows? I'm a Nets fan, so seeing this is awesome. I've been a Nets fan for over 10 years, and I've been through the lows of the low. So to see us have a big 3 is an interesting trade. Personally, I don't really know how to make of it right now. I think we could have competed for a title with the team we had. Now, I think we should be going for the title, no question. It's a little awkward knowing that our future is at stake. We're not going to really have any picks. We're not going to have much for a while. We're not going to really have much to choose from. So it's kind of bad in that standard. And of course, it makes you think of the Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, etc. trade. But hey, we're in the present. Like and subscribe. Comment. Let me know what you think. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.